We lived to fight another day. A beautiful score of 15-12. Crazy enough, how much it doesn't move your rank at this time of the year to get a 1500, moving up 445 spots, a 2, 3, 4, 5 season rank. Very, very pretty. That is there, and we're over 30,000 total points. So I did manage to get through my head-to-head league, which was a much needed win in the semi-final, now moving to the prelim, 5 out of 5 of the league. So I do have Adam Dewey. Adam, what's doing Dewey? Very, very important big score for him. 111, that was the winner there. And then, Edwards, Teddy, Drinkwater, we all had the same there. But Dewey was the big difference maker. And then my opponent had Hines as the VC. Thankfully, I stuck with, I had Teddy as the VC. Almost took that score, and then I went, well, I think Haas can probably hit that 85 like 60% of the time, and then a chance for even more, and he picked up that awesome line break assist and plenty of offloads there for his 99. Carrigan's 48 was a bit low, but Crichton's 83 was a big, big number in this score, and having Watson sitting there has been pretty awful the last few weeks in both Supercoach and in fantasy there. Now, looking at my squad heading into this week, Hines is gone, Garrick is gone there, and then Ramian's out as well, so I'm actually short one centre wing. Now, there's a few little things that we can do, and like Garrick, losing all this cash the last few weeks has been awful. Another 56 down, and he was in the high 600s not that long ago, and has been awful, unfortunately, since he was scoring a few of those tries on the wing, and the team's just been that bad that he's gone on the way down with it. So for me, with 3 trades remaining, there's a couple of things we can do. We can go down to an absolute cheapie and then try and get a gun. And just quickly looking at the state of the center wings now, looking here up top in terms of total points, there's a few guys that don't own there, but in terms of averages straight up, all injured guys basically, unless I own them. So Karaz, the highest average with Lomax, the 2 highest guys averages that I own. And then moving down, you got Taylor May, only played the 4 games there with this 101 on the weekend. He's actually in my price range of 485, 100. Nwangi Tuaze is ice cold at the moment, outside of that, one good game last week with the triple. And the rest of the guys here, you're taking punts on guys like Xavier Coates, on Beau Fermor. Tupulotu has returned. Phil Sami for a 75. You got Tupou at 660. As you can see, a lot of these guys are more expensive. But would it be worth double trading to be able to get one of these guys on your side? I don't think so. It might be worth taking a little bit more of a flyer on someone that's actually affordable for a one trader in my scenario there. So you're looking at, Taylor May's one of them. There's Garrick, sad. You got Karapani, and you also have Dean Mariner. Both those guys are in that slot that can do really well. I think Mariner's just pretty well close to the 450 odd or something like that. Would have been nice to grab Hiroti. I thought he looked awesome on the weekend. Leo Hopewad is in absolute free fall right now. And Tommy Talau will keep that center spot, but I think we want to avoid that team. We saw with Tommy Turbo on the weekend, he wasn't able to have a great score either. Jackson Purdue got a runaway try off Drinkwater for an awesome score of 74. Sione Katoa on that right-hand side, he's in a good zone there, but misses this week. And then there's not a lot of other really exciting players, to be honest, there. So that's kind of the worry with a lot of these players at this type of range. You got Will Penasini at 65 last week. And then, Dean Mariner at 455 there. So he kind of stands out as a little bit of a decent pick. You've got Taruva there, picked up a try for a 70. But Mariner, for me, kind of does stand out against the Newcastle Knights. If he can, he has that boom potential. And, well, I was going to say, most of the team's pretty safe outside of Watson at the moment to be able to play good minutes, get a decent score. Unless we're looking at injuries like we saw with Garrick, a lot of these guys are fairly safe on that front. So maybe there's room for this, just that single trade for Dean Mariner. Get that the potential upside against Newcastle, who really struggled on the weekend and likely will continue to struggle against a team in the Broncos that are really looking to push for a spot in the top 4, but at least get a home final. And you've got guys like Reece Walsh crushing at the moment. His partner on his inside in Tony Staggs doing a great job as well. So he's the interesting pick at that sort of mid-tier price. And there's a few at the higher price that can do well also, but aren't super exciting. If we're looking at Garrick replacements, if you have 50 or 100K, then there's still not a lot that's there and available, and who you'd want. Nwangi Tuaze is not too expensive. Then you've got, Fermor, Xavier Coates, all guys that can do decent jobs there. But how exciting actually are they? Roger, I think, is pretty interesting at 603, to be fair, with them playing the Titans this week. I think that's a decent shout. With Latrell being back, Alex Johnston coming off a good score a couple of ago there into that shocker on the weekend, but we know that he plays so good with him. You've got Matt Fainai and you've got Shibasaki. I think at 522, if you have that extra cash, you could go for Shiba there as well. Now, the sort of fun play this week is going to be in halfback. If you were to be trading Nico Hines on the bye, people are looking at Sam Walker, a 750k. It's basically almost a straight swap, just a 10k difference, and we know that he can come out and have a really good game. And he's been awesome. The last 3 rounds of 95 average. He stands out as a good option. If you want to go cheaper than Tom Dearden at 639, I think has a nice couple of games and picked up a 96 after that lower one last week. Lower 2 scores in a row, but before that had those massive tons that everyone was getting excited about. And then it would be Wishart further down below. So he had a nice 74 on the weekend, the last 3 games for him being a 66 average, and is a good price at 428. And now I think the reason you'd go for him would be more around the ability or trying to get a little bit extra cash available to upgrade somewhere else, would be how I think that might look. So it could be like Hines to Wishy, comfortably play him against the Dogs, haven't been great at the moment, and then upgrade your Garrick pick or something like that. Garrick or Ramian, whoever you've got in that scenario there. So tough one that Ramian was out. Wouldn't imagine anyway this week, but in general, just not having that depth now in the centre wing position like I was hoping. So I'm very, very glad to have Adam doing there, but the centre wings they're falling. Olympus has fallen. Kiraz in there at 660, just up and down at the moment with how the team's going as well. So that's that. The second row forwards getting stacked. Isaiah Yeo might be back this week, could be back the following, but with Tino returning and Hudson Young back from bye, gives a lot of options in that position as well. So that's where maybe just for my team, just that one trade of getting another centre wing, someone that has potential upside, could be the play. And then even without playing a Tino right now, I still have enough scorers in there to be able to do a good job. And now the question would be, do I play Carrigan or Tino or both? That's something that I'll think about, and something that could easily move around in my side right now with Carrigan being able to sub with Tino, and we'll just do that for now just to have a little bit of a look at it. Given the Titans do play the Warriors at home, I don't mind that little matchup there. Broncos against the Newcastle Knights, if they put on a bit of a show, does Carrigan get involved in much of that attack? I'm not sure. We saw the last 2 weeks, unfortunately for him, back-to-back under 50 scores after picking up that 80 with the try assist the week before last. Quick one on captaincy and sort of fun ones. I think you can go for a Latrell bring in and VC, but I wouldn't want to trade any of the 3 I own. Reece Walsh is a cracking purchase as well, but it's very, very difficult to own all 4 or all 5. With people selling Edwards last week, people selling Drinky last week, they come out and get 119 and 151. There's no way you're selling Teddy. He has 180 odd, or whatever, 190 in his game just 2 weeks ago, and then 85 on the weekend. So it's very, very hard. There's a lot of great fullbacks at the moment, and any collection of that 4 especially, and then Latrell would be number 5 in my opinion there. But Cleary against the Canberra Raiders, it should be solid, but I probably more expecting anywhere between this sort of 65 to 90 range for Cleary in this one, unless they can have a bit of a dominant one out at Mudgee there. So I think Yoey's going to be trying to get out there and play in front of a lot of his home family crowd. Melbourne players could definitely a plunge can be taken on them, but against the Dogs, it's okay. But who would you really VC there? It's basically only Pappenhausen, and he's coming back from some problems. Manly Dolphins would have been fine to have a little VC on Herbie. It's probably a little bit more on the fullbacks. So would it be Edwards? Maybe not. Could it be Teddy? Yes. Can it be Drinkwater as a last-ditch captain? Yes, as well. So a lot of the sort of best options are going to be later in the week. There's not too many else here in this top section that you'd like to VC on, like Cleary could work. Lomax could work as well, but against Roosters who are in a bit of form. So yeah, it's not a super exciting one. It could just be if you've got a lot of outs, like most of us are sitting there with, and you've got guys on bye like Nico Hines, then that could be the play. Ramian could be the call for myself actually in that centre wing position. So it could be looping early and then making that decision that I could chuck a Ramian straight into that starting side there and not worry about how things go on that one. When did Garrick play? Yeah, their 4th game of the week. So I'd move him out. Ramian would come in and he could be the VC loop in that scenario. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. In hooker, it's pretty gross up there at the moment. Like I'm tempted to play just play Starling over Watson. Like the way that minutes are playing out with him, it's pretty gross there. And Starling could do something against the Panthers. I would definitely rather a better, easier matchup. But that's the tough one there. And without Blake Brayley available, with McInnes getting injured there, you can look at Damien Cook, who got the big minutes last week. Probably won't happen longer term. Verrills, he's been in great form at the moment. Don't know if you could jump on him, but price-wise, if you can get an extra 55k, you go to Harry Grant, and I'd do that every day of the week. Robson had a shocker. If you've got 40k and you want to make that upgrade, I think Kurt Donahue, you saw him get the try assist on the weekend. He's a really fun one. And Jeremy Marshall-King is in good form as well, 82. His last 3 scores. And if you really want to go cheap, Billy Walters at hooker picked up a try assist for a 55 last week. I actually can't believe that what's he got? Just hooker status. Yeah, makes sense. Price is great if you want to jump on there. So yeah, that's the hooking position. It's pretty gross there. For front row forward, we've got Adam Blake on bye, but if you haven't got Tino and you do have a few trades available, him under 500k is the easy pick across front row forward and the second row forward stocks there. Crichton at 559 is crazy, but until this week he hasn't been very good either there. So yeah, that's the sort of general thoughts heading into this week. Most people don't have many trades left, so it's just fixing those little end bits and pieces. Now the private crew, we've got David still sitting up top in 54th, having a great season. The Scootman dropped down to 95th, but overall still in the top hundreds, which is crazy. I've pushed into 7th there. We've got Jaden, Jacob, Matthew, and Max all in front of me, just stuck ahead of the Don, and Hayden and Jared have all had a really good season so far. Podmasters crew, I'm into 21st out of 105, so pretty solid overall. Luke in 12th, Matthew in 29th, and then we've got Scoop 95th, and then Maxi Bryden in 283. The other Maxi, 299, in that top 500. So, yeah, still really solid there from a few of the guys. No one really made a big move, apart from Timmy Williams there, 428 up and 435 from Grant. So, yeah, that was kind of that in that top section. Nothing too crazy. But as you can see in the head-to-heads there for Podmasters, managed to get a win. But in the, I think we're in the bottom section. How's that one work? What have we moved into in that one? Oh no, how did it work? Oh no, that's right. I got the win here. So in the Podmasters semi-final, up against the SC Spy. Love that for us. Then we got Marky Barnes and then Luke in there. So okay, cool. Didn't realize that I got through in that one. But yeah, the one I'm really hanging my hat on is the All Stars 50, which is run by Mark Barnes there. So go and check out the All Stars podcast. They do an awesome job there. And I come up against First, who's I think he's sitting at like 107th overall or something crazy. What's he at? Yeah, 107th. Along with James. So first and second in our head-to-head comp are both ranked 107th, which is pretty crazy on the exact same points. And they're good 700 and something above me. So this is going to be the interesting part of it here as to how that one's going to play out. And I am all here for it. I cannot wait just to get in with a shot. That's all we asked for. And we've managed to make it to the prelim. Hopefully we can get the job done here. I was having a look at his team, and it's a little bit, there's little bits and pieces that we can separate each other from, and we'll see how that one plays out. So overall, happy with how the week went for Supercoach. There's a few things there to think about. In terms of, clear matchups, I really, really love the Broncos one. I think that is going to be where it's at. To be honest with you, against the Knights, they looked really awful yesterday. So that would be the one I'd be hanging my hat on. And then, Cowboys with like Dearden and with Drinky and those type of guys there is what you want to look at. I think this Eels one will be closer than people think. Titans Warriors should hopefully be a higher scoring Supercoach game, and hard to tell with Storm Bulldogs. Like, we're looking at a pretty awful week again for weather. So how's this first one, the Rabbitohs Dragons, going to look? Not sure how it's looking out west, but up on the Central Coast, it's still absolutely shocking. So that is Supercoach for this week. 3 rounds to go, guys, and a big thanks to everyone who has tuned in to my Supercoach staff. We will be back bigger and better next year, as always, as well as myself not going through EPL and NFL, just because I don't know much about them at all, but I'll be heavily following along and doing content for NBL, which actually gets started in a month from today, which is exciting, and there's preseason games tonight, and then we've got the BBL coming on later as well. So this is going to fill up. There's already 5 spots on there. I think there's space for another 3, which is pretty crazy. So keep in touch with all that sort of stuff. Once the season gets done, we'll be heavily into the NBL stuff for starting in a month. So good stuff there. Can't wait for it. And thanks so much for tuning in for this video and podcast.